back, fight fans. We're here for yet another episode of Shootin' the Shit here on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network, as well as Combat Press and everywhere else that holds the show. I am your host, Riley Contek, with yet another fantastic guest on tap. Before we introduce him, obviously want to plug our sponsor here. So if you are in the greater Illinois area and you are looking to get some home improvement work redone, go to facebook.com and look up Cornelius and Sons. They'll do anything, plumbing, flooring, kitchens, whatever you need done. With the cold winter right now, probably not going to be doing your deck or anything outside, but definitely head there if you need something redone inside the house. Again, that is Cornelius and Sons on Facebook. All right, today we have a UFC, I believe you're fighting at light heavyweight now. He's also a former Glory fighter. Obviously, Glory hasn't been running any shows in the United States recently, but we are with Dustin Jacoby today. Dustin, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Riley. Thanks for having me on your show. Excited to be here and shoot the shit.
Absolutely. So we're just going to dive right in here. I looked at your social media and I saw that you had retweeted something about the Jake Paul or Logan Paul fight or whatever. So my first question to you is, what are your thoughts on these celebrity fights and the fact that guys like Jake Paul are trying to look to take on guys like, obviously, Ben Askren has been mentioned. He even mentioned Conor McGregor, which would probably be second-degree murder. But
Right,
what do you think of these fights?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't want to acknowledge it too much for the simple fact that I am a professional fighter. And, dude, I would smoke either one of those guys. I know it 100%. And same with McGregor and any other guy that's a professional fighter. You know, there's levels to this game. And obviously, part of me wants to entertain the idea for the financial benefits, aspect of it. But, it is what it is. I train every day to fight people. And I always find it funny when guys that don't compete professionally or do this for a living think that they can hang and beat somebody. I mean, everybody has a puncher's chance. Everybody can deliver that knockout punch. Anybody can get knocked out. But I train daily to fight other professional fighters. So, take it with a grain of salt. I would love a piece of that action for the slice of the pie, but outside of that, man, it's not even worth entertaining.
Right. And then, fighting Nate Robinson is one thing, who had little to no training, taking on, even Ben Askren, you might think his striking's garbage, which it pretty much is, but he also has fought professionally and used his striking in that setting, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, kind of going on the same as that, what did you think about the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr.? Did you like that idea of having, I don't know, guys in their twilight years going at it? What do you think about those scenarios?
I'm a big fan of to each their own. If guys want to pursue their dream and their passion, I'm not anybody to tell them that they can or that I should disapprove of what they're doing. I think it's pretty cool, actually, to, that's the hardest thing about this sport is once a fighter, always a fighter, man. You got that competitive drive. You see guys all the time try competing past their prime and past the good years that they have. And it really is unfortunate, but it's something that all of us are going to have to deal with one day. It's never going to be hard hanging the gloves up. I've often said I don't think I'll have like an official retirement because I don't want to put an end to something, and I'm not going to be that guy that fights outside of my prime either. I'm not going to be the guy that fights just for a paycheck. To be honest with you, man, this is my last push. This is my last run. And when I say that, I still think I have 6-8 years, depending on how thing goes. Six years for sure. I think 6 really good years of my career. And, but once I'm done with the UFC, man, you're not going to see me trying to fight on regional scenes. There's just no point in it for me. But like I said, I think it's really cool to watch Tyson. Me personally, man, I was so young, I never really got to see a primetime Tyson fight, Or I remember as a little kid, them actually, my family getting together for Tyson fights or people talking about Tyson fights, but I was just too young to really tune in and appreciate it. So I think it's pretty cool to watch them now.
Yeah, definitely, and they did huge numbers. So if the demand is there, I don't see what the deal is with that. So definitely agree with you there. Now, you were you played college football, and obviously, I don't believe you went anywhere past that. You didn't play in the pros anywhere, correct?
Correct.
Now, so do you, and then obviously you got into fighting, and obviously another guy who did that was Greg Hardy, although he did it at a professional level. Do you think that football players making the foray into MMA and combat sports have an upper hand?
I think so. I mean, just from the competitive drive point of it, the fundamentals, the work ethic, the accountability, everything that goes into being a committed football player. And, there's guys that play the high school, but if you played at the collegiate level and the professional level, for sure, I think you have a little bit of a benefit. Obviously, footwork is a big thing that correlates into every sport that's played. It starts with the footwork, whether you're playing basketball, soccer, football, MMA, wrestling. It's all about the footwork. So those athletes that have went through that and have functionally trained their footwork are going to be a little bit ahead of the guys who haven't. And usually they're pretty determined guys. They're guys that enjoy contact, enjoy getting physical, and enjoy getting dirty. So I think, football guys translate into MMA quite well.
Do you think that from all the hits to the head, it actually makes a weaker chin when a guy is foraying over from football to MMA?
Obviously, yeah, the more hits to the head you can, people do lose their chin. You see guys all the time. Look at Junior Dos Santos. It seems like every time he gets touched, he goes out. I could think of so many, but I can't think of the names. Well, there you go. Prime time example. I think he got knocked out like his last 7 fights, and they weren't that brutal, And here's a prime example. Look at Stipe Miocic when he fought Francis Ngannou that first time, and he beat him. Dude, he took a lot of big shots, and durable, right? Very strong chin. Well, then he had a short turnaround and fought DC, and just off that short turnaround, DC throws a punch that, it got him, but should not have knocked him out like it did. Right. And I think that put him out. Well, then Stipe goes on that long break. It was off like 14, 16 months, whatever it was, gave his head time to heal. Next time he fought Cormier, Cormier was still blasting him with punches harder than the last fight, but Stipe was eating him, So I think your brain needs to recover. It needs time to recover, especially if you've been knocked out, if you've got a concussion in football. But then you get to a certain point, man, where when it goes, and you should certainly walk away and for the safety of your own head, you only get one brain. So that is the ugly truth about what we do is it does take, you do take damage, and it does take a little bit of life off your career. And, it is what it is, man, but you got to play it smart.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I don't like guys taking quick turnarounds like that, especially if they've been in a war. It's just not smart, in my opinion.
It's not, man. No.
So after your first stint in the UFC and you jumped around from promotions, you went into the kickboxing world instead of the MMA world. Obviously, you made huge leaps in your game, especially your striking. Obviously, going at that level. So did you kind of walk away from kickboxing because of the COVID-19 situation? Because they haven't been holding kickboxing matches in the United States. My coach Richard Abraham has been looking everywhere to get fights, and he just hasn't been able to do it. So is that a reason that you stepped away from kickboxing and came back to MMA, or what was the reason behind that?
So the biggest thing was I broke my arm twice in kickboxing. Had to take all of 2018 off as the first year, my 10-year professional career. I turned pro in 2010. First year that I didn't compete, and I wasn't able to. I couldn't get through a training session without my arm hurting, and I just did not like being that guy that was always hurt. And I just had a talk with my coach, and I said, hey, man, I'm going to step away for a little bit. I'm going to let the body heal. Just whatever happens, happens. And I stepped away, and then ended up coming back December of that year, helping Anthony Smith get ready for the John Jones fight. And my goal when I first left the UFC was to always get back in the UFC. My kickboxing career came out of nowhere. I was still having MMA fights. I was 2-0 MMA after my release from the UFC, and then I got an opportunity with Glory Kickboxing and had a tournament, and I was like, wow, dude, this is pretty cool. I was a stand-up fighter, and I didn't have to worry about a takedown. And at that time, it was a weakness, of mine, just fighting at the high levels. Regional scene is one thing, but when you get to the highest level, man, you're going to be facing elite wrestlers and guys that can take you down. And, so that's where I was at. So I went to kickboxing, and then after I hurt my arm and came back and started helping Anthony, I was like, my goal was to get back to the UFC. I'm just going to focus on MMA, and the thought, I love kickboxing, but the thought of going toe to toe with somebody after getting this arm broke twice and just checking kicks, it didn't seem too appealing to me. And And I remember for the longest time, man, watching fights when guys would check kicks with their arms, I'd like cringe, like, man, that's got to hurt, And it was weird getting back into it, but I felt like MMA was a smart route. Again, I wanted to achieve that goal of getting in the UFC again, and that's where I am.
Absolutely, and I was actually just looking up your kickboxing record because I swear I was doing media at the middleweight tournament in Chicago. I was that I now remember that I was at that. Now I remember, and I believe you actually fought Carl Robertson, who now obviously is also in the UFC. So it's crazy how that works, right?
Man.
From kickboxing, obviously you made your foray back into MMA, and it was a welcome sight. You took your fight on the Contender Series, and obviously it was the most impressive fight in my opinion of the night, and most impressive individual performance, just the way you decimated your opponent Ty Flores. Can you just comment on the Contender Series as a whole? Like how was the process? I know you probably had to be in Vegas for a while to quarantine and all that, and just kind of tell us about that experience.
Yeah, the UFC does a great job of keeping us safe, making sure guys are tested and we're isolated, and then we're safe and we can compete virus free, right? At first, I was I was a little pissed off that I had to get a Contender Series fight. Just being a veteran, the Contender Series thing is more for young guys. Guys are like 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Looking to kind of get, milked into the UFC and given some easy fights and to grow, try to go superstar. I was like, look, dude, I'm already a veteran. Like, I don't need this Contender Series fight. I've proven myself. Look at my history, man. Through glory, I've learned how to fight, man. I've taken my licks and I put my head down. I kept grinding. A lot of grit and determination to get where I'm at. So I had a little chip on my shoulder. I was fighting Ty Flores, and he had talked a little bit of smack beforehand, saying I was old and washed up, and he doesn't even understand why I'm coming back to MMA, and that he's going to prove that I don't belong and I'm the old man. Well, dude, I took that to heart, and I trained my ass off, and I was like, I'm going to put a hurt on this kid. And in a way, like in my mind, I thought, I'm going to knock this dude out right away. Like 2 minutes, he's done. And I'll give him credit, man. He's tough as nails. He made me earn it, mm-hmm. and I'm very thankful for that fight and for the Contender Series opportunity, because I got to go to Vegas. I got to stay in the room. I got familiar with the staff. I got familiar with the procedure, the process. I got familiar with the Apex. I got familiar with fighting with no crowd, which I didn't think was going to be an issue. And when we got in there, I was like, holy shit, man, this is kind of weird. And then another thing with the Contender Series, there's no introduction. They don't announce you. They don't say fighting out of the blue corner. It's right. You step in the cage, your opponent steps in the cage door locks, and now it's game on. I got the chills thinking about it, man, because it's just like, here we go, right? And I noticed like during the fight, you pick up some energy from the fans. The fans screaming, yelling. Well, there was none of that. So I was thankful for the whole process. When I got back there to the Apex for my next fight, my first official UFC fight in almost a decade. I told Coach, I was like, dude, now I'm thankful for the Contender Series because I'm so comfortable. I feel relaxed. I feel right at home. I feel like, this is going to be a walk in the park. And it certainly was, man. And so it was a great experience. And while I was pissed at first, I'm very thankful I got to go through it. And now here I am, man, and getting ready to get another big win on February 27th.
Absolutely, and that's hilarious how that was. You didn't think you needed the Contender Series, and then it ended up helping you for your next fight. And that was what I was going to ask you next. When you made your re-debut in the UFC opposite of Justin Ledet, was there any nerves in that? I mean, obviously you'd been there before, or did that factor in anything, or were you comfortable?
I'm going to be 100% honest, man. I have not had nerves since I fought Sean Choice, my last Glory kickboxing fight. It was after fighting Simon Marcus back to back, and I remember, I'll never forget it. It was a turning point in my career. I remember being in the back, and I'd already faced. This is coming off of 2 fights with Simon Marcus. And when you lock horns with a true warrior like that, it takes you to a whole other level. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, there's levels to this game, and when I fought Sean Choice, I looked at my coach. I was like, man, I don't know what it is. For the first time ever in my career, like, I have zero nerves. Like, I can't wait to get out there and like show off. I just show everybody what I can do. And that was a huge turning point, man. I went in there and that was one of the proudest moments of my career. Like 20 seconds into that fight, I broke my arm. And I knew it was broke, so I was like, here we go. I have to get this done. And I knew I wasn't going to be fighting again for a while, which turned out to be like almost 2 years. But, well, hell, it was right at 2 years. It was exactly 2 years. And ever since that fight, man, like, I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you, I'm a veteran at heart. I'm a veteran through and through. And all the way up to that Justin Ledet fight, man, I was there, and I just could not wait to go out there and just show everybody what I do, the work that we put in the dark and let it shine underneath those lights.
Right, and I mean, that was a great matchup in terms of styles, because you're primarily kickboxing, and he's a boxer himself. And I mean, you dominated that fight. So I mean, not only using your strength, but also beating him at what he is strong at. Is that how you kind of saw the fight going, just a straight up banger?
100%, man. The fight played out exactly how I thought it was going to. I knew he was a heavy boxer, and I really thought I was going to hurt that lead leg, which I ended up doing and putting him down. And then when he got up, man, I zinged him with a couple good shots that, put him away. And I told my coach, like, are you kidding me, man? Like, I was so fired up. The fight went exactly. I kept having dreams beforehand that I would see our name next to each other, and I would see like the green check mark by me showing that I won, and it kept saying like 2 minutes and 38 seconds. And I think I did it in like 2 minutes and 48 seconds or 2 minutes and 52 seconds. So it played out exactly how I thought it was going to. And I mean, you couldn't be happier with a win like that in the UFC.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we'll get to the last segment of the show here. We have 2 cards this week for the UFC. We have Wednesday, which starts at, like, first prelim is on at like 7 in the morning.
Oh, wow. On Wednesday?
Yeah, on Wednesday. It's on.
Oh, man. I was hoping to watch him Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing, but it'll give me an excuse while I'm working from home to do something else. But so we'll just talk about the main event of that fight card. It was originally supposed to be Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards. Obviously, that fight got rebooked. So it's now Michael Kiesa versus Neil Magney. So, Dustin, why don't you, from what you know, what do you think about this fight? And if you have a prediction, throw it our way.
Man, I'll tell you, styles make the matchup, and styles make the fight, and these two have such a similar style, such a high pace, grind you out, gritty, you just get after it till the end type style. And I actually started my career training with Neil Magney back in the hit squad, and him and I went every round together, man. That was my main training partner. We were about the same size. I fought at 85, he fought at 70. So I know Neil's work ethic. I know how hard he goes. I know how hard he works. He's got some of the best cardio. But I feel like everything I can say about Neil, I can say about Michael Kiesa. So it's going to be interesting. My pick, I think Neil gets him. I think he's bigger. I think he's longer. I think he's been at the highest level for a little bit longer, and he's going to use that to his advantage. And hats off to both fighters. They're both incredible athletes. I just think Neil Magney gets it done.
Yeah, I like your analysis on that. Styles make, but this is a perfect matchup in my opinion as well. It's probably not going to win fight of the night anytime soon, but it's certainly going to be a good fight from a tactical standpoint, and definitely, like you said, 2 guys' styles will mesh well together. With Magney, he's on a 3-fight winning streak. Obviously, just beat Robbie Lawler. Chiesa, same thing, 3-fight winning streak, coming off a win over Rafael dos Anjos. I will disagree with you here. I will take Chiesa by decision, but it will be very, very close in my opinion.
Hey, man, one of us is going to be right, one of us is going to be wrong, but we both have the same outlook. I think it's going to be a gritty, hard-fought decision win.
Absolutely, and you can, if your guy wins, you can talk shit to me. You can text me. So then let's take a look at 257. Now, this will be a normal start time, even though they're over in Abu Dhabi. This will be, pay-per-view starts at 9 o'clock, which means the prelims probably start around 6:37. So let's look at the co-main first, because it is a fight with big implications. You got Michael Chandler making his UFC debut, former Bellator lightweight champion, taking on Dan Hooker. So same question as before, how do you see this fight, and then who you got as the winner?
Man, I see. I think Dan Hooker, and I'm gonna take him by finish. I think he finishes Michael Chandler. We haven't seen Chandler fight in a while. To my knowledge, I don't remember the last time we've seen him fight. Not that I'm going to take too much away from him in that regard, but I think Dan Hooker's a beast, man. I think that he's ready to break through, and I think he's at that top-tier level. And I don't think guys that have come over from Bellator right away have done that great. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they've had much success right out the gate. So I'm going to go with Dan Hooker. I think he's going to catch him with a big knee with something highlight reel and finish him.
Well, Eddie Alvarez did become UFC champion after coming over from Bellator. You're right, though. He started off slow and then picked it up, and then obviously he fights for one now. But he was successful. Now, in terms of Chandler, you said he hadn't fought in a while. His last fight was actually in August. He knocked out Benson Henderson. So that was his most recent fight. Honestly, I didn't even remember that. I had to look that up myself.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and Hooker's coming off that loss to Dustin Poirier, which was obviously an outstanding fight. So you know Chandler coming in with a 2-fight winning streak. Hooker lost his last fight, so interesting stuff there. I think the X factor might end up being Chandler's wrestling if he wants to use it. Everyone always forgets because he's got that big knockout power in his hands that he is a very competent wrestler. So I'm going to disagree with you here as well. I will take Chandler, but I think it'll be a close, really, really good fight. I mean, this could be in competition for fight of the night, in my opinion. And then we have the big one, of course, the rematch, Dustin Poirier taking on Conor McGregor. Now, obviously, the announcement Dana White made on Saturday wasn't much of an announcement. It's that Khabib's going to be watching the fights and seeing what his next move is. I think whoever wins, I don't think he's coming out of retirement. I think he's in a happy place. What do you think about Khabib?
Oh, man, I think it's unfortunate that he's going to stop, especially I feel like he's got a lot more to give. And I can't speak on his behalf as far as his father passing away. And, that's tough on everybody. I tell you what, when he first went down and started crying, I called it. I was like, he's retiring. Yep. He's going to retire right now. And all my buddies I watched were like, no fucking way, dude. There's no way. No way in hell, blah, blah. Well, then I just read it right away. I could just tell if something was off. And sure enough, he retired. I hope he comes back. But again, I feel like he's a guy that he's a man of his word. I feel like he might be the one guy that doesn't. Although with him being so young, man, it's just hard telling. What was he's retiring at, what is he, 32?
Yeah.
And to put things in perspective, Anderson Silva didn't make his UFC debut until he was 32 years old. And look what he accomplished after that. So, it's sad that he's walking away. I hope we see him again, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was done for good.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the only person that could get him out for one more fight would be Conor, just because the payday would just be so ridiculous for him. And obviously he's got motivation because I still don't think he likes Conor very much. I don't think I'm telling any tales out of left field here. But now, just in terms of that fight, Conor versus Dustin, do you think it goes similar to the first fight, or what's your breakdown of this fight?
I really do think it goes similar to their first fight. And Poirier is a dog. I think he's awesome. He's a badass. He fights with all heart. McGregor, we all know he talks the talk, but that motherfucker walks the walk too. He's one of the best fighters there is. His precision, timing, and accuracy is next level, and that left hand is dynamite. I mean, it's I think it's tailor made for Poirier. I think their styles. I really do think that McGregor catches him again, stings him, and now is it going to be inside the 60 seconds that Mystic Mac told us it was going to be? I would bet a large number that is inaccurate, but then again, man, you don't want to bet against McGregor. So I do think he finishes him again. I think it is inside a couple rounds. Which is tough to say how good Poirier. I don't want to take anything away from Poirier. He's very good. I just think McGregor's next level.
Absolutely, I agree. This is the fight we will agree on. I have Conor winning. Like you said, probably not as quick as the first one, but absolutely. I mean, his striking is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm actually surprised we never. I mean, there's probably not the money that he makes, but I'm surprised we never saw him take a kickboxing match or pro kickboxing match at a higher level. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. Dustin, he dusted him, and actually, today is the 1-year anniversary of Conor's last fight. I'm looking this up right now. January 18th, knocked out Donald Cerrone. That was last year.
Oh wow, it's been a year already.
I know it was because this last year felt like fucking 5 years, but. Yeah, I mean, he knocked out Cerrone quickly, 40 seconds. Donald Cerrone is as good of a striker as you can get in that division, and he knocked him out in 40 seconds. Dustin's tough, but I think Conor finds his chin and probably sleeps him.
I agree, man. I agree.
All right, well, that one we'll agree on just because I had to digress from you on the first two fight picks. So that's pretty much it for today. Dustin, really appreciate you coming on the show. I will give you the floor right now to whore yourself out. Where can we find you? Anybody you'd like to thank? The floor is yours.
Yeah, man, I'm on Instagram, the Hanyak DJ. I think the same thing on Twitter, Facebook. I just keep it more like family, friends, trying to eliminate some of the people I don't really know. And, I want to thank my management team, Iridium Sports Agency. They are the best in the business, man. They bend over backwards for me, and they have, I can't even tell you how many guys on the UFC roster that they work for, but I feel like they always make me feel like I'm the only one. So hats off to them. Revivid Sport, CBD, some of the best CBD in the biz that I've worked with, that I have used. Love those guys. Have a good relationship with them. We train here at Factory X under Mark Montoya and a huge coaching staff, a bunch of great coaches. We do our strength and conditioning at Landau Performance, which Lauren Landau is the head strength and conditioning coach of the Denver Broncos, and he's built an empire over there, and his staff is amazing. And, with those guys, I feel prepared for any challenge up ahead. What part of Illinois are you guys at? Are you in?
I'm 30 minutes outside Chicago, northwest.
Yeah,
so that arena that you fought in for Glory is maybe 10 minutes from my house.
Okay, man. Yeah, the Hoffman Estates.
Yep.
Sears Center.
Yep.
Right on, dude. Yeah.
High school in Hoffman Estates.
Okay, yeah. So I went to Triopia High School, Central Illinois, and my wife and I moved out here 7 years ago. So very familiar. I tell people I was born and raised in Fort Morgan, Colorado. At the age of 12, 13, we moved to Illinois. So I tell people I grew up in Illinois.
Right.
But I have lived more of my life in Colorado, but very familiar. Got a lot of buddies up that way. And
absolutely.
Cool, man. It was good. It was good chatting with you. I appreciate you giving me the time, and best of luck. Do you compete as well?
Well, I was going to take an amateur fight it would have been in December. And the week before I was going to go into training camp, I tore my Achilles tendon. So I am actually on the shelf right now.
Dude, that's the worst.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you, too. I guess I got one more question before we go. When you did Glory, did you actually because I know Alex Pereira trained at our gym just to do a couple of sessions when he was in town for the fights. Did you ever train at Maximus Muay Thai with Richard Abraham?
I never trained there, no, but I know Richard. I know we fought on a couple of cards. How's he doing? Is he still fighting with Glory?
I don't believe so, because Glory's only doing shows in Europe because of the pandemic, so they haven't even been in the United States. And he was saying, like, kickboxing basically is only happening in Asia and Europe, and they're not bringing in American fighters. So I have not talked to him since probably in like 2 months. I've more or less talked to the other coach there. But I believe he just accepted a boxing match in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's in I think he just got into training camp for that. He was looking to try and take an MMA fight for LFA just to stay busy, and I think that didn't end up panning out for him. So, but
gotcha.
I mean, he's doing real well. He just expanded the gym. He doubled the size of the gym in the last month or so. So
good for him, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing good business. So
super cool.
Absolutely. I will plug myself. You can find this show on Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network, as well as Combat Press. You can find me posting shows on Facebook and Twitter, and also these shows are posted on my website, MMA Intel. Go there, folks, if you want the whole archive of episodes. And that's it. So for Dustin Jacoby, I am Riley Context saying continue watching the fights, continue watching this show. Go fuck yourselves. Good night.